Hi and welcome to Deep Dive. My name is John and today we're continuing our Advent journey through the promises of Isaiah. So far we've explored God's presence with us in Isaiah 7 and Him coming as a light piercing the darkness in Isaiah 9, Him being Jesus. And now we arrive at Isaiah 11 where we'll focus on these opening verses. A shoot will come up from the stump of Jesse. From his roots, a branch will bear fruit. And this image is of a fresh, unexpected shoot sprouting from a lifeless stump that points to the surprising hope we find in Jesus. It's a promise of renewal, of restoration, and of a reign that is defined by God's perfect peace and goodness. Isaiah's audience was in despair. They had darkness surrounding them. Assyria threatened their safety, one of the larger nations in the region, and their king, King Ahaz, had abandoned trust in God. And so this once glorious line of King David was now like a felled tree, a lifeless and cut off tree, one that had been cut down with a chainsaw like a tree in my front yard over the years. Yet Isaiah speaks of hope, and Isaiah paints this picture of a shoot springing up from the stump of Jesse, a symbol of renewal, of life where it seemed impossible. We recently had a tree cut down in the back of our property. It wasn't too old, but it was just something we wanted to get rid of and get moving. But we left a little bit of the stump there. And now, 4 months later, we can see the exact regrowth of this olive tree that we cut down. We can see these little branches that are beginning, these little green shoots that are beginning to reveal themselves. Or perhaps you've seen this happen after a fire in a forest up near where we live. And about 15 years ago, there was a great big fire that went through the region. And back 15 years ago, there were charred stumps and really lifeless and barren ground. And yet after all the rain and the years, these green shoots have come through. The ash and life has found a way, and in parts you would never know that the fire even went through. This is sort of the picture that Isaiah gives us, a God who brings life out of barrenness, hope out of devastation. And so for us, the stump of Jesse points to Jesus, who came as a fresh branch from David's royal line. In a time of Roman oppression and spiritual dryness, Jesus' arrival was the act of God's goodness and his renewal. Isaiah 11:2 and 3 describe this shoot, this king, with qualities that show why Jesus is good beyond measure. It tells of wisdom and understanding, that he knows what we need and acts with perfect judgment. That there is counsel and might, that he is powerful, yet uses his strength for good, for our good. And that there is knowledge and fear of the Lord, that he delights in honouring God and does not lead from a place of selfish ambition. Here's where God's goodness is on display. Jesus sees us completely, our fears, our failures, our struggles, and still chooses to draw near to us. Unlike human leaders who may fail us, Jesus' reign in the kingdom of God is marked by righteousness, by justice, by faithfulness. Imagine a judge who can see the motives of the heart of those in front of them, the defendants. Imagine if he can see right into how they are feeling and discern what the motives are. Perhaps it is the same in relationships we have. Imagine if we were able to see the real motives of those who we had relationship with. And I don't mean just see their bad motives. I actually mean like see their good motives in what they seek to do in our friendship and relationships. But Jesus, as the perfect King, looks beyond the appearances and he goes into our hearts. He looks into our hearts. He doesn't offer condemnation, but he offers restoration. And this is why we can trust him completely. As the passage moves on in Isaiah 11, we get to verses 6 to 9, and it shifts away from, I suppose, the nature of the king to the impact of the king's reign. And the imagery here is striking. There's wolves lying with lambs. There's children playing safely near dangerous snakes. It's a picture of peace that is so transformative that even the nature of our world is renewed. This peaceful reign of God, it's so countercultural to us. Like, actually imagine these animals being next to each other, a lion and a lamb, a cow and a bear, a child and a snake. Imagine being at the zoo where all these animals are in the same enclosure. It's just one huge open range enclosure that we can all walk through with no need of protection or concern. We could go out on a safari and there'd be no need for people to protect us or to keep our hands in the bus or in the Jeep that we might be travelling in. It's crazy. That wouldn't happen, would it? We can't imagine it. There are always going to be like other animals chasing other animals, or we might be prey for some of the larger ones. But Jesus' reign is like that. It's restorative, restoring not just the world around us, but it also is restoring us, our own hearts. It is a peace that changes everything. And so while we still live in a world that is full of conflict, full of brokenness, full of sin, Isaiah gives us a glimpse of what's to come. In Jesus, it has begun already in the kingdom of God, that one day these things will be fully realised, that there will be this peace, this countercultural peace that will just blow our minds. And so Isaiah 11 reminds us that God brings hope from despair. From that stump of Jesse, there are new fruit, new shoots that come up. That is fulfilled in Jesus, but also a picture perhaps of our own lives. It reminds us that Jesus is the King that we obviously need. His wisdom and justice and faithfulness mean that we can trust him with every part of our lives, with even the inner depths of our hearts. And then we're also here reminded that we are called to reflect his peace. As followers of the King, of this King Jesus, we are part of his kingdom work. And so we are able to share his goodness and his peace with a world in need. So I wonder whether the question for us out of Isaiah 11 and these promises to Isaiah, this continuing Christmas series, is that this week, where do you need to see God's renewal and restoration? Perhaps it's a relationship, a situation that feels rather desperate, or even some dark corner of your own heart. But trust that God, who brought up this shoot, this branch from the stump of Jesse, is still working to bring life and a hope and peace into your heart this week and even today. Well, I want to thank you for diving deep with me today. Isaiah 11 is one of many promises that God has made to his people, and it is a reminder of God's goodness in Jesus, and of a King who renews and restores and reigns with peace. Again, thanks for joining us and diving deep. Look forward to speaking to you next time. Bye for now.